basically, like she said, my name is Bryce Stewart. I'm actually running for the position of Jackson County Executive. Just to give you a little of my background, I've actually worked for Jackson County for over 10 years now, so I have a pretty good experience of what goes on there, and quite frankly, I don't like it. I consider myself a conservative Republican, and I'm running on the Republican Party. I basically believe, some of my thoughts are that the government's way too involved in our personal lives, and I believe a lot in personal responsibility for everybody. And just a couple of things. The last 7.5 years at the county have been pretty rough. Under my opponent's administration, his name is Mike Sanders, he's the incumbent that I'll be running against. And right off the bat, when he got elected, we went through a mass layoff of about 100 people because they were claiming that the county was pretty much broke and we only had $250,000 in the general fund. Is pretty much what they were stating. And now, but over the last 8 years, they've been able to spend millions of dollars on just wasting money. They spent $5 to $7 million on the I don't know if you're familiar with the renovation of the German courthouse on the square. And I'm not going to go out there and say it shouldn't have been done, but I think they kind of went to the extreme on the money that they spent. And in my opinion, it was only to basically make a name for himself and make himself look good. Recently, they just another thing, I wasted their money. They purchased a new sheriff's office, and they spent $900,000 on the sheriff's office. And this is where I get to kind of thinking that the people who are running Jackson County are kind of incompetent, I guess, for lack of a better word. They spent $900,000 on this. They did it without any type of inspection. So basically, they didn't do a walkthrough. They just basically bought it sight unseen. And now they're going to spend another $1 million getting it ready before it can even move into. And as of 2 weeks ago, they found black mold in it. And all work had stopped because they're over their budget and they can't find any money. Supposedly. So, anything else I want to mention? I'll try not to take up too much of your time, so I'll just open it up. Does anybody have any questions about anything for me?
So where did you grow up? Tell us about your background. Wife, children, all that.
I grew up in a small town of Bramer, Missouri.
Ooh, I know where that is.
And actually, that's my best friend right there that's holding the camera. I've known him since the 2nd grade. The Midwest Rolling Thunder right there. They were a charity organization out of Odessa. I grew up there, graduated class of about 28.
Did you go to Southwest?
No, I went to Bramer High School. And I ended up actually graduated in Hardin because we moved there my junior year. But I spent most of my time in Bramer. And after high school, I moved out of the city and moved to the city and worked various jobs. I was a restaurant manager for Hardee's for many years. I have an extensive law enforcement background. I worked as a chief of police from a small municipality, FORR June, Missouri. I still do hold a reserve police commission. And then in 2000 is when I went to work for Jackson County as a computer technician. And I worked there until 2003, and then I came back in 2006 and I've been there ever since. I have one daughter. She's 2 years old. She keeps me busy. Keeps me very, very busy.
So what would you like to see happen with Jackson County?
Well, the first thing I would like to, I'd like to eliminate the wasteful spending. And even beyond that, I don't know if you all are familiar, they want to run a train, basically, all around the county. And while I don't know if I have a huge objection to it, I think $59 million of taxpayer money is a lot of money to spend. And I think the money they spend can be better utilized in, making sure that the roads are better, making sure that we have law enforcement in the county. The county is one of the lowest paid as far as law enforcement or any position around here. I would like to bring the salaries up to standards so that we can keep better employees, get good people to stay in the position.
Any discussion, what are you doing with that and everything?
I have not heard any discussion of that. I guess I'm not familiar with the issue.
It's just sitting.
I can look into it, but I'm not familiar with it.
It's been sitting for years, I think.
Okay.
A
That's
lot
not,
of years. It used to be private only, and then it went to public, and then it went back to private, and now I think it's been shut down for a lot of years.
okay. I mean, that's something I can definitely look into. I've never heard of it, but I'm not familiar
So
with the
we're
issue.
off of, Morning Third and
Maywood.
But you're not sure if you're not sure who exactly owns it? It's the city of Independence, County.
I think that the city was going to buy it one time because they're not taking care of it. It's running into bad.
Right.
It's a mess. I just wonder if you ever heard anything.
I have not heard anything about that.
So, where is Saunders at now with his budget in the general fund?
To the best of my knowledge, he keeps his budget pretty well balanced. However, their ultimate solution every time they come under budget is to lay people off, which ultimately, I mean, there is even
Various
time.
services does it have?
Which, I mean, I don't know if any of you've been to play your taxes lately in Jackson County. You're going to wait a while. I mean, you might as well bring a book to read. It's going to take a while. And I mean, I know when they did the stadiums, when they did that, the city had to actually bail them out on some of that because they were over budget what they thought.
And I heard on the current courthouse there at 303 Kansas, there's a renovation on it going on, and that they're looking at roughly $500,000 budget on it.
Yes, that is correct. They're currently renovating the. Basically, what they did is they moved everybody out of the assessment, the records, collections, out of what they call the courthouse annex at I think it's 306 Kansas, and they moved up then to the Truman courthouse. And now they're redoing that courthouse to make room for more courtrooms. But in the process, that actually made me think of something. They took the prosecutors out of that building and they moved them to another building, which is directly behind it, which is 321 West Lexington, and they renovated that as well. I don't know the cost of what they spent on that, but they just redid that 5 years ago, and now they just did it again for the prosecutor's office. So that's
They're renting and renovating and still building, so they're spending money here, spending money there to
Yes.
house everybody.
yes,
You can't doubling up all their costs.
yes.
Good to know, interesting to know.
Anybody else? Any more questions?
What would you like us to know? What's your message?
Just that I think I'm the best person for the job. I've been there a lot of years. I've seen everything. Being a computer technician for them, I travel the county on a daily basis. I talk to employees. I know what the issues are, and I know that I can help resolve this.
I do, and I'm sorry if I interrupt somebody.
You're
While
fine.
we're on that moment, you try to tell me. Here's one of the things I've thought for years and years and years. How do you feel about putting people and police back out on Beach Street? As a former police officer, as a reserve, how do you feel about having police walking beats and knowing their neighborhoods?
Well, I have no problem with that.
Knowing who the troublemakers are, being able to protect these buildings and knowing that twice a night in their commercial buildings are going to be having. That's something I don't understand. Is it that so prohibited? I know police cars are horribly expensive. I've always wondered what would be the cost of having 1.5 officers versus a car. Is that something that you've got any kind of numbers or ideas on?
I don't have the numbers on it, but I will say this. I actually agree with it because you get out, you see, you have your community police and you know your neighborhood. I actually do agree. I think it's a good idea. And the other thing, when you see a police officer today, what do you see? Their windows are rolled up, they're driving down, and they're talking on their cell phone. That's what you see.
They don't know how to use signal lights.
But they have their lights and sirens on.
Yeah, you don't know them.
And I actually worked in a small city, and I knew almost everybody in Lincoln. I knew who the kids were. As I drove through, I talked to everybody. They talked to me. They expressed their concerns, and that really is a good thing.
You know your troublemakers. Because I grew up in a 2,500 or 5,000 town. And yeah, you do. You know your troublemakers. You know where your house is. You know where when something disappears, you know where to start looking.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll quit interrupting.
Well, county executive basically is the CEO of the county. They basically, anything budgetary goes through them. They sign off on anything the legislature approves. They're basically the spokesperson for the county. They're the person you're going to see on the news talking about what's going on. Then they appoint like any of the directors of the departments. They're basically in charge of that. Yes, ma'am.
What I want to know is, how much say-so do you have in that position? Like, say for instance, if you are presented with a budget that they expect you to sign off on, but you don't agree with that budget, so how much say-so do you have?
Basically, the way it works is the county executive and his staff come up with a budget, and then the legislature approves that budget. And you work with your legislators on what they would like to see done. And it's just a working relationship. And the other thing, you also, in regard to, you brought up, as far as the county exec has a lot to do with the salaries. Just as an example, I don't know if you all are familiar, how much you are familiar with the county government. Basically, Mike Sanders has two main assistants as of right now. One of them is Shelley Cadugan, and the other one is Calvin Wilford. I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. Both of those individuals, Shelley Cadugan, as of 2011, I believe, the last I heard, she made $130,000 a year. Plus, she got a $55 phone allowance per month, and she got a $6,000 a year car allowance. I'm not sure where she's driving, but I'm not sure what justifies $6,000. Because I travel every day for the county in my personal vehicle, and last year I made like $2,500. And that because I get paid on a per mileage basis. I get 55 cents a mile when I travel, which is standard county policy. I think that's determined by the federal government. And but I don't know where she drives for $6,000. That seems an awful lot. In addition to that, I think the salaries that they're paying are outrageous. Because you got a lady making $130,000 a year, and the governor of the state makes $117,000 a year. I'm thinking something's a little off there.
Yeah.
She's an
Good to
assistant.
know.
She's the assistant to Mike Sanders.
And is his salary set by the legislature?
His salary is set by statute. And I'll be honest, I'm not even 100% sure what his salary is. I've never bothered to look it up. I know that may sound kind of strange. I've looked up her salary, but I've never looked up his. I do know that he got a salary raise a few years ago. There was an article on it, but I'm not exactly sure what it is.
He just needs to go.
That's my opinion.
I'll give you one. He looks like a white little weasel with that stick back.
In addition to that, I don't even know how long the guy's going to stick around. Every couple of years it brings up, I'm going to run for state representative, or I think he wants a manual labor job, to be quite honest.
I think that's true.
But,
And we're one of the old ones. United States representative.
he wants to do something other than county exec. I think he's just waiting for the time to right. He keeps building his campaign fund. So, I realize I'm on an uphill battle. The guy has $500,000 in his campaign fund. But you know what? I have about 300. but I believe it's possible. I really do. I believe that in this country that anything's possible when somebody, I don't have a whole lot of backing, I'm pretty much running this campaign by myself, but I believe it's possible. I believe, with my little amount of money I can defeat it. So, but I need people to vote, I need people to get out there. I need you to tell your friends, hey, if you like what I say, get out there and tell your friends. And I realize all of you don't live in Jackson County, but I bet you $1, that's about all I have. You know somebody that lives in Jackson County. So, and that's what I'm looking for. So.
Need some kind of change to get rid of professional politicians. We can't do that any worse than having a regular driver.
I'll tell you what, I don't know, salaries or anything, but from a full-time job, I've never made any more than like $34,000 a year. So I don't know if that's what you call a regular guy, but that's me. I'm not an attorney. That's another thing I kind of want to bring up. I don't know how familiar, like I said, you are with the Jackson County legislator, but I think all but 2 of the legislators are attorneys. and I hate to offend anybody if there's an attorney in this room, but why is it only attorneys can be politicians? You know, Mike Sanders is an attorney. You know, he used to be a prosecutor, and I'm not. You know, I'm not your. I know people say it all the time, but I'm not your regular politician. You know, I'm just a guy who wants to.
They get yourself out of trouble when they screw up.
That could be true. That could be true.
The nice thing with change is when and if you take office, if we don't like what you do 4 years from
4
now,
years
we can
later.
replace you.
You can boot me out. That's what's great about this country.
So
Fortunately, I don't think there's been enough of that lately.
Is there any kind of, I know in like in state races, each one has to start out with the same amount of money.
Right.
But does that work for you? I mean,
Nope.
you're
No.
on your own.
I'm on my own,
Okay.
and I've got phone calls from so many people, and I mean, I've looked it up. Mike Sanders, honestly, right as of a couple days ago, in his campaign fund, $462,000. And that's a lot to compete with.
And he probably won't start spending till after the primary.
Yeah, that would be my guess, because I don't think I've really seen anything that he's done so far. And maybe as of right now, he's not taking me real seriously. I don't know. But I will tell you this, it did kind of rattle him a little bit when I signed up to run. Because, especially me being a county employee, they actually, I wasn't really going to get into this, but since it kind of segued into it, when I signed up to run, there was a post made in a political website about me, a political blog site in Kansas City, and it was somewhat complimentary towards me. And it stated something that I had documents or something that I was going to release about, Mike's administration, which I really didn't have anything like that. And it made them so concerned that they actually came in the very same day to my office and confiscated my county-issued laptop and my county-issued desktop. Yes. And they took it in for, they actually sent it off-site for forensic testing to make sure I didn't have anything on here that's confidential about their administration. They spent $10,000 to have my equipment sent off for testing to an outside company. And then in addition to that, they basically, they sat me in my office for a month and a half and wouldn't allow me to do much of anything while they investigated a possible data breach. So once they found out they didn't have anything, they let me go back and resume my normal duties, but it took a little while.
Sounds like you got something to hide.
That's kind of what I thought. And I'll be honest, I wish I had some of those documents they thought I had, so. But unfortunately, I don't. But
You got business cards?
I do. And I was going to go ahead and just hand some out of here and pass them around.
So yeah, so if you can work them into one of your local meetings, those of you in Jackson County.
Bryce, you have a website, don't you?
Yes, I do. It's actually on my business cards. It's www.brycestewart.com. I'm also on Facebook. There's a link on my website to my Facebook page. If anybody would like to friend me, I'm more than happy to accept the request. I am at the point now, in the beginning I wasn't adding a whole lot to my website, but I am starting to add a lot more information there now. Now that we're getting closer to the primary and afterwards. So, but I would like to thank you all for letting me come today. And if anybody is involved in anything, any other organizations, I would love to come speak to.
I guess you guys could do the meeting.
My email address is on the business card, so you can contact me on that or through Facebook or just however. So.
Wonderful. Thank you.